We are extremely happy to have you come out and join us today for lunch. It's a real pleasure of ours. I am Morris Thomas. I'm the interim publisher for The Signal. I know most of you, and those of you that I don't know, I look forward to getting to know you better sometime today. Before we get to Jason, I'd like to introduce a few of our key editors and reporters so that you can get to know them at least after the presentation. We're going to try to leave an amount of time after the presentation for you to chat with some of the Signal staff we have here, and some of our other media and marketing representatives are also in attendance today. I'd like to introduce, first of all, for those of you that don't know her, Lila Littlejohn. You just raise your hand. That is our city editor. So if you watch the movies and you know that the city editor is the person who handles everything coming through, and they've got all the information on Superman and all that stuff. Tammy Maraslian is our education reporter. Jenna Atkin, our business editor. And Michelle Safi, our assistant features editor. Now our special honored guest today, Jason. He is probably pretty well known by most of you in attendance. Jason was the former editor of the San Fernando Valley Business Journal. He was the managing editor of the Los Angeles Business Journal. And what some of you may not know is that before he spent his 10 years in the business magazine area, he was in daily newspapers for over 20 years. So we are extremely proud to have Jason join us at The Signal and bring that experience on board for us. And we're extremely proud to share some of his experience and knowledge with you here today. So without any further ado, Jason Schaff.
Thank you, Morris. Morris Thomas has been a great boss these last 6 weeks that I've been here at The Signal, and a great advisor. So I just want to thank you, Morris, and give him a round of applause. First of all, I want to find out where people get their information, and this is not, and none of this presentation is a promotional thing of The Signal. We're trying to talk about media in general locally. But I want to know how many people get their daily information from a daily newspaper or a daily website? And how many get their local information from a local magazine, local daily newspaper, or whatever? Okay. The bottom line is that publicity and exposure of a person, a company, a business, a nonprofit organization makes an entity rise above the pack. And your your organization, your business is special, even if it's only for a few moments. But I'm hoping to let you know how you can get it there, and for more than just a few moments. There's so much going on today with all sorts of different internet media, all sorts of other type of media, all these phone apps, that there's a tremendous amount of clutter, and you'll get lost if you don't get your story told succinctly. Us at The Signal, we're a community newspaper. We're interested in absolutely everything. Not everything's going to be a front page story. That's where the news judgment comes in. But it relates to the community, will help even a very small group of people with their daily lives or their businesses. Doesn't have to help everybody. But, as I said, not everything ends up on the front page, and at a media outlet such as The Signal, the reporters and editors are the one that kind of go and decide which, with our readership in mind, and we must know our readership. That's how we decide what goes on the front page, what ends up on the back page, what ends up on the calendar, what ends up on the website only. If it's on the website only, it'd be for a period of time, because we haven't printed the print product yet. We would probably do a larger story later in the print product. Okay, how are media outlets structured, you got the publisher, and then you got the editor. Morris, please let me use a picture. No, actually, you didn't know about it. Okay, the publisher, station manager, general manager, depending on what type of media outlet it is, they're the person, and this is real important, they're the person who is responsible for everything. They're the boss of the editor, the executive editor, whatever that person is called. They're responsible for the whole product. And what's very different about news organizations is that even though the publisher is ultimately responsible for the editorial product, he or she let the editor run that product. And a good publisher does not mess with the editor on a daily basis. And Morris is a good...
Once a week.
Once every other day. No, but a good publisher is not the one that you send the press release to. You send it to the editor because the editor is responsible for putting the news product together. The editor can choose to tell the publisher what's going on in the next day's paper, what's going on at any time, and a good editor does that, keeps in communication with the publisher, and doesn't let the publisher get surprised where there may be a story that's sensitive or something, and it could be about an advertiser too. A good editor keeps the publisher informed the whole way, and I don't know of any good at least newspaper that doesn't have a good relationship between the editor and the publisher. There's the advertising department, not the editorial department, supervise the ads. They sell the ads. They supervise the ads makeup. There is a wall between the advertising department and the editorial department, unless we choose to share. We always feel it's best not to know exactly what ads are going to go in the paper. Those are paid for, and the advertiser has control over the content. The advertiser may be a source, but an editorial source for a reporter. We'll read back quotes, we'll read back paragraphs. You know, we'll keep in communication as to what this pretty much their presence in the story will say. But we never let a source read a story. And the fact that they say that they're an advertiser really isn't supposed to make us think any differently about that process. These are the people that are actively working different industry beats. They're the ones who Tammy has education as a beat. Everybody in the education sector in Santa Clarita Valley should know Tammy. We've got Natalie working City Hall. We've got sports reporters. We've got Michelle and Michelle Buttleman doing features. They all are responsible for certain sections of the newspaper. They are the prime content if you have content for, you know, if you've got, I forgot Jana, sorry, business editor, Chamber of Commerce, VIA, all those people should contact Jana if they got some news. And school districts should contact Tammy. All sorts of different nonprofits should contact Michelle and Michelle for the sort of lifestyle feature type things. Contacting me is great, but you don't want to rely on me to remember to forward the email. The editor, such as myself, I take a step back and look at the community as a whole, you know, how a story fits into the average day in Santa Clarita. Reporters do that, but they also are working their specific industry beat or their education beat or whatever. And they get involved in the story, and sometimes it's a lot easier and a lot sexier to write a story that's full of conflict. We don't look for scandal at the Signal. But we take it when we find it. But we take it when we find it. How to present stories and news to media outlets. Easy for us. Don't make us work for it. We're all understaffed, overworked. You know, we want the stuff given to us in the best form possible, so we don't have to do massive amounts of editing. How do you give us news tips about some breaking news? It's just call us, preferably on an analog dial phone, and that will go to the linotype of the signal, and we'll process it. No, just call us and write this down. Call the city desk for any type of news that you see. The city desk number is 661-255-1234. Email for the city desk. City desk, one word, at the-signal.com. Just email something, but make sure you got like a way for us to get in touch with you by phone. The other way to give us less breaking news, more planned news, or we may even consider it less exciting information, is to give us a press release. And this is probably the most important thing I'm going to say all day. Be short. Be succinct in what you're telling us. Put these in like the first paragraph of your press release. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. I mean, I can't guarantee everything that you send that's perfect like that's going to get in the paper, but almost guaranteed. After doing the press release, how do you follow up? Don't just send us a press release and hope you got it, because I don't know how many hundreds of emails I get a day, and I know all the other editors and reporters get a lot of emails too. Follow up within a day, absolutely within a day. Don't follow up weeks later. On the other end of the spectrum, if we kind of like say, not really interested, don't keep calling us and emailing us. Get the answer. We may get you on the next time, and hopefully we do it in a professional, polite manner when we blow you off. Makes a good story, something that is interesting, something that others can learn from, and something that is important to the community. Every single story or piece of information in a newspaper or a publication falls under one of those three areas. Understand the news business. It's a jigsaw puzzle sometimes, and there's all sorts of different organizations, businesses, people coming at us wanting their information published, and we try to accommodate, but sometimes we can't get to everybody. But one thing we hope we are is that you hold us accountable to be fair and accurate. Okay, most important thing you can do to help get your story told, follow everything I said exactly. We just don't dream up information. We get it from sources. We get it from people who know the community, know the different subjects, and we want to develop relations with sources and not the same old people. New sources and new knowledgeable people. We cover all sorts of subjects, and so we can't be experts on everything. We're looking for you guys to be the experts, and you are the experts in your fields. We need credible people to report, to quote, and to write stories about. And everybody in this room is certainly that. The person who calls a lot and the person who's the loudest gets noticed the most. It's just, if you're credible. Anyway, in conclusion, there's no big secrets. The number one thing I want you to remember is keep in touch. Keep in touch. I do not yell at people when they call me. I don't know of anybody that yells at people when they call us. We try to get back to people if they got a question, if they got a story. We try to accommodate and get back to them.
Would you explain whether or not a press release is news, or is that an advertisement, or is that an editorial?
Oh.
What's the distinction?
Good question. A press release is not an ad. It's information. It may not be the hottest thing. It may talk about, in a business sense, a new product or something, but it is not a advertisement, a promotional thing that's written like, this is the best product ever. If you've got a new product, say such and such company is releasing a new product, do not say it's good or bad. We don't care.
For having this event, because we all love the Signal. You're our local paper. We see what happens to communities who don't have local papers, and it's really important to be able to communicate well with you. So I certainly really appreciate this. But I'm wondering, I was interested in the news stories you chose and why you particularly chose them. And, I was wondering if leading with murder and throwing out the NASA story is a reflection on our community. I mean, have you done statistics? Is that what sells papers in the community and nobody's interested in science?
No, you didn't write it, did you? No. It was an example of a press release I thought that didn't work. The subject, I think, is fine for a newspaper. It probably didn't end up in that many newspapers because the press release, you couldn't really tell what it was about.
A lot of the press releases I receive in business, then people will have a section that's got some history or background, and that's actually very helpful. Once I scan the first part, I see it's something that's worthy of reporting in news.
Good point.
How do you think the newspaper should take positions based on independent investigative journalism as opposed to just making news each day?
I can help address that. Within the Signal, that's also one of the reasons why we have multiple publications. So if it has a serious, we have a business page where we run business-related information. But if it's a core business product, that's why we have the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal. And we try to address all of those subjects and all those topics that are really pertinent to business in that area.
My name is John O'Connell, and Morris paid me to make this comment.
A lot.
If you notice, he just mentioned the YMCA. I am the recent past board chairman of the Santa Clarita Valley Family YMCA. And we've been out here about 40 years. And for the first 38 and a half of those 40 years, we waited for the Signal to come to us. And nothing happened. And about a year and a half ago, the Y Worldwide rebranded itself. And we took that opportunity to go to Morris and Cliff and their associates and talk about what the new Y is all about. And what came out of that was an ad campaign that was not only a colorful series of ads about the YMCA programs and services, but also articles that were done. And what we did is we formed a partnership. And that partnership lives today. It's stronger than ever. We continue to advertise in the Signal. They continue to come and ask us what's going on, what can we talk about in our articles that will make a difference in the community. And from having lost connection to our community for the better part of 35 or 40 years, we're reconnected in a big, big way. And I want to thank you guys for that connectivity.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Jason puts in about 13 hours a day. He's a machine. It's unbelievable what he has brought to our newsroom and our ability to get the news out. Everybody's inspired and working hard. A couple things I want to add to that is that in terms of how you communicate with us, I think a lot of these, we don't have those representatives here in our panel, but I think a lot of those points will also work with our sisters and brothers in the media as well. I'm sure KHTS would like for you to be clear, concise, and they probably would like a phone call when something is happening. And that applies in terms of getting your story out. I mean, that's a radio station, so it comes out a certain way. Same thing with SCV TV. I mean, that's your local public interest channel. If you've got a public interest, something that's in that area, that's also another vehicle as well as the magazines. And that's a different type of information dissemination that you're involved in. So you want to think about that when you're putting together a plan to disseminate your message. So thanks a lot. We really appreciate you coming out.